Hello friends, I am Dr. Ravindra Yadav Bhandare, Department of Zoology, Mahatma Gandhi Vidya Mandir's Arts, Science and Commerce College, Surgana. So, we will move towards the fifth topic, that is the animal interactions. We will see the definition of the interaction. What is interaction? Interactions refers to positive and negative association between species that favor or inhibit mutual growth and evolution of populations. It may take the form of competition, predation, parasitism, commensalism, or mutualism. Then there are certain types of animal interactions. First one is the competition. Competition exists when multiple organisms view for the same limiting resources, because the use of a limited resources by one species decreases availability of the other. Competition lowers the fitness of both. Competition can be interspecific between different species or intraspecific between individuals of the same species. In the 1930s, Russian ecologist Georgy Gauss proposed that two species competing for the same limiting resources cannot coexist in the same place at the same time. As a consequence, one species may be driven to extinction, or evolution reduces the competition. When we will talk about the types of animal interaction, it could be for the food, shelter, or could be for mating also. Competitions occur when individuals or different species having same ecology or occupying same feeding guilds depends upon common but limited resources. Competition can occur even when there is an unlimited supply of resources. Here, it depends on the superiority of one species over the other species. So, number one, that is the intraspecific or homogametic competition. Rivalry often occurs between members of the same species within an ecological community, known as intraspecific competition. The most common of the competitive relationship, animals of the same species often live together in the same community. These individuals compete for limited resources like food, shelter, and mates. Intraspecific competitions help nature keep the population under control. When food is limited, the environment can only feed so many individuals of the same species. This results in the survival of the fittest. Only those capable of winning against their counterparts survive. Similar regulations occur when individuals compete over shelter for raising young. This is often occur with young male lions. Animals that lose are driven from the group and from the area. So we can see the example of the intraspecific or homogametic competition. Then another one is the interspecific competitions. Interspecific competitions occur when members of more than one species compete for the same resources. Woodpeckers and squirrels often compete for nesting rights in the same holes and spaces in trees, while the lions and the cheetahs of the African savanna compete for the same antelope and gazelle prey. Even though individual animals are competing for the same shelter or food, interspecific competition is usually less critical than the intraspecific competitions. The antelope, for example, is not the lion's only prey. Because of this, the lion can choose to compete for antelope or to look elsewhere. Animals of different species typically compete with each other only for food, water, and shelter, but they often compete with members of their own species for mates and territory as well. So, here is the example of the intraspecific competition. Sorry, interspecific competition. As there are many different kinds of interactions recognized in interspecific competitions, Thomas Schooner in 1983 suggested 6 different mechanisms are sufficient to account for most instances of inter-specific competitions are as follows. A. Consumption. Such competition occur when one of the species belongs to community consumes all the shared resources, preventing use by other species. Example: competition for getting seeds between granivores rodents and ants. B. Preemption. Preemptive competition arises when physical resources like space occupied by organisms and settle very early before other reaches that place, and generally occurs between sessile organisms. Example: competition among sessile rocket in intertidal organisms for space. C. Overgrowth. Overgrowth competition occurs quite literally when one organism grows directly over another, with or without physically contacting the other organism. This does not require direct contact between organisms. Example: forest trees overgrowing smaller plants and intercepting light results in the exclusion of shade intolerant species. Then C. Chemical interactions. It also called as the allelopathy. Chemical competition occur when any species of organism produces toxins or chemical growth inhibitor which affect life of other species or directly kill them. Example: chemicals produced by some plants prevent the growth or seed germination of other plants. Another example is tadpoles of frogs can interact via growth inhibitors associated with gut symbionts. Territoriality. Territorial competition occurs when aggressive behavior of one of the species forms territories and prevent inclusion of others by defending their territories. Example: disputes between carnivores like lions and leopard for protecting territories of feeding ground. Another example is interspecific territorial clashes between luminously colored fishes living in a coral reef. Then encounter competition. Encounter competition occur when two non-territorial foraging individuals when encounter in given area affecting each other. Example: once two parasitoids searching for prey encounter each other interact in such a way that may stop for foraging or may leave place in search of other prey. Then another one is the beneficial association or the symbiosis. So the interaction between these living things can be divided into several categories. Some organisms live in symbiosis, a long lasting ecological relationship between two organisms. Although we usually think of both organisms benefiting in symbiosis, there are other types of symbiosis as well. Let's look at each one in detail. A. Commensalism. Sometimes one organism benefits from an interaction but the other gets nothing. This is called commensalism. This would be like if you gave your notes from class to a friend to study. You get nothing but your friend benefits by having excellent notes to learn from. If we have the classroom and travel into the tropical ocean, we find an example of commensalism in the interaction between the shark and remora. Then types of commensalism. Chemical commensalism. It is often found in between two bacterial species, in which one bacterial species nourishing on waste products or chemicals of other bacteria. Second one, inquilinism, in which one species living on or in the body of other organism acting as host and host neither get benefited or harmed. Metabiosis. It is a form of commensalism that occurs when one species unintentionally creates a home for another species through one of its normal life activities. Then fourth, Phorecy. It takes place when one organism attaches to another organism specifically for the purpose of gaining transportation. So, examples of the commensalism. First one is the remora on shark. Remora are also known as suckerfish. They live in warm tropical seas and live in commensalism with sharks and other large marine animals. The remora attaches to the shark to catch the ride with the suckers. Usually, the shark or other animal does not get anything from the remora, but they are not hurt by the remora either. So, when we look towards the remora fish attaches to the belly of the shark by a sucker disc in its mouth. It travels everywhere the shark goes. It eats any parasites on the shark, which helps keep the shark clean. It also eats any leftover food from the shark. The remora gets to eat and the shark stays clean and healthy. Another example of the commensalism is the cattle egrets on cattle. Cattle egrets are small white birds that sit comfortably on the back of a cow, an ox, or a buffalo. Cattle gates sometimes hunt like other wading birds, catching fish and frogs along the water's edge, but most often they follow herds of livestock to eat the grasshoppers that are stirred up by the cattle soup. Cattle, cattle egrets eat little bugs that bite and tend to bother the cattle. The term mutualism can be simply defined as a relationship in which both species are mutually benefited. This relationship can either be within the species or between the two different species. The species with this relationship is termed as the symbionts. Mutual relationship is seen in all living organisms including human beings, animals, birds, plants and other microorganisms like bacteria, virus and fungi. Mutualism is a sort of symbiosis. Then mutualism is a type of relationship between the host and the symbionts where both organisms benefit and no one is harmed. This relationship may either continue for longer or for shorter term. The term mutualist is used to indicate the small partner and the host are the other partners present in the mutualism. For example, ants live and feed on the nectar of acacia trees. Here, ants are the mutualist and acacia trees is the host. The acacia trees provide home and food for the ants as they have hollow thorn homes for the ants and yellow swelling on the leaves, food for the ants. In reverse, ant acts as a guard attacking insect and protect the tree from the grazing animals. So, types of mutualism. There are 5 types of mutualism. One is the obligate mutualism. In obligate mutualism, the relationship between two species in which both are completely dependent on each other. Most of the symbiosis and some non-symbiotic are the best examples of the obligate mutualism. For example, yucca plant and the moth. The yucca plant, the habitat of the dry and arid climate of the southwestern United States. The flower of the yucca plant relies on the moth for the pollination process. In turn, the moth is benefited by laying its eggs on the flower and feeding the larvae with the seeds. Second one is the facultative mutualism. In facultative mutualism, the partners may coexist without depending on each other. They, however, form a diffuse relationship involving a varying mixture of species. For example, honeybees and plants. Honeybees visit many different plant species for the nectar from the flower, and these plants will be visited by the number of the insects as pollinators for pollination. Third one is the trophic mutualism. In trophic mutualism, the partners are specialized in complementary ways to obtain energy and nutrients from each other. For example, the cows and the bacteria. Cows cannot digest the plant's cellulose. The bacteria present in the remains of cows helps in digesting plant cellulose. In rivers, bacteria gets food and warm environment which is required for their growth and development. Fourth one is the defensive mutualism. In defensive mutualism, one partner receives food and shelter, and in return, it helps the partner by defending against the herbivores or predators or parasites. For example, the aphids and the ants. The aphids produce honeydew to the ants, which is carried to their nest at night for protecting them from the predators and escort. These aphids are carried back to the plant the next morning. In return, ants are benefited by assembling the aphids' eggs and storing in their nest chambers to survive the cold winter moth. Dispersive mutualism. In dispersive mutualism, one partner receives food in return for helping flower in transferring their pollen. For example, honeybees and plants. Honeybees travel from one flower to another in search of nectar from the flower which is required to prepare honey. In return, plants are benefited by pollination as the honeybee spread the pollen from one plant to another. So, there are some examples of mutualism. Bees and flowers. Bees and flowers have mutual relationship as well. Bees gets the nectar they need to make honey by traveling between flowers. The bees brings pollen from one plant to another, resulting in pollination. The bees is benefited by getting food and plants benefited from being pollinated. Then another example is the termites and the trichoniums. Trichonium is bell-shaped single-cell anaerobic flagellates found exclusively in hindgut of termites and roaches. Trichonympha helps termites to digest cellulose, and in return termites provide them constant supply of food and shelter. Trichonympha also has a variety of bacterial symbionts that are involved in sugar metabolism and nitrogen fixation. Then third one is the cleaning symbiosis in the gobies, fish and shrimps. Cleaning symbiosis is occur in individual of two species where one species acting as cleaner by eradicating and feeding on parasites of the other species. This is well known in marine organisms like shrimps and gobies. Clean fish acting as a cleaner and receiving the nutrients when they remove parasites, dead tissues and mucus from different hosts. Then oxpecker and zebras or rhinos. In this relationship, the oxpecker bird lives on the zebra or rhino, sustaining itself by eating all the bugs and parasites on the animal. The bird benefited by having a readily available source of food, and the zebra or rhino benefits from having the bugs removed. Then digestive bacteria and humans. Human beings have good bacteria in their digestive system and help the human to digest food. Some food cannot be digested entirely, so when these foods are consumed, the bacteria in the digestive system feed on those food. The bacteria stay alive. Then antagonistic association. So it includes the negative interactions. Certain interaction between different species give rise to negative effect on either or both species. Parasitism and predation are interactions where one species gains and the other suffer, while in the interaction called competition both species are harmed. So it includes a parasitism. In a parasitism, two species have a long lasting close interactions that is beneficial to one, that is the parasite, and harmful to other, that is the host. This is a relationship in which one organism, the parasite, spends much or all of its life living in or on another organisms, on another organism, the host. The parasite is dependent upon the host for food. The parasite benefits from the relationship and the host is always harmed. Parasite may bring about the death of their host, but most often only weaken their host. Weaken their host. Number examples. First one is the ascaris and humans. Ascaris lumbricoids, commonly known as roundworm, and acting as endoparasite of human living in intestine. Ascaris acting as parasite which gets protection and digested food present in intestine and reproduce within intestine. Ascaris eggs are passed through feces of infected person defecates outside, and such soil acting as source of infection. If hands or fingers that are contaminated with the ascaris eggs, and if such unwashed hands used to ingest food and also contaminated vegetables and fruits consumed by any person gets infection, and in severe condition causes the disease ascariasis. Second example, head louse and human. Head louse, the endoparasite insect feeding on human blood in scalp of head. In hyperinfestation, it causes discomfort, irritation of skin, and causes the disease pediculosis. Infection of head louse indicates poor hygienic state of human, and infection pass on physically to other person. In this association, head louse benefited as it receives shelter and nourishment from human, but human get harm from louse. Head lice can be of serious public health concern all over the world. Overcrowding countries to the louse population size in any given area. However, unlike body lice that are vector of typhus, head lice may only be minor vector of a relapsing fever. Then second B, prey predation. A predator is an organism that eats another organism. The prey is the organism which the predator eats. Some examples of predator and prey are lion and zebra, bear and fish, and fox and rabbit. The word predator and prey almost always used to mean only animals that eat animals, but the same concept also applies to plants, bear and berry, rabbit and lettuce, grasshopper and leaf. Predator and prey evolve together. The prey is part of the predator's environment, and the predator dies if it does not get food. So it evolves whatever is necessary in order to eat the prey. Speed, stealth, camouflage, a good sense of smell, sight, or hearing, immunity to the prey's poison, the right kind of mouth parts or digestive system, etc. Likewise, the predator is part of the prey's environment, and the prey dies if it is eaten by the predator. So it evolves whatever is necessary to avoid being eaten. Speed, camouflage, good sense of smell, sight, hearing, thorns, poisons, etc. The fastest lions are able to catch food and eat, so they survive and reproduce, and gradually faster lions make up more and more of the population. The fastest zebra are able to escape the lions, so they survive and reproduce, and gradually faster zebras make up more and more of the population. An important thing to realize is that as both organisms become faster to adapt to their environments, their relationship remains the same because they are both getting faster, either gets faster in relation to the other. This is true in all predator prey relationship. Another example of predator prey evolution is that of the Galapagos tortoise. Galapagos tortoise eat the branches of the cactus plants that grow on the Galapagos Islands. On one of the islands where long naked tortoise lives, the branches are higher off the ground. On another island where short naked tortoise lives, the branches are lower down. The cactus, the prey, may have evolved high branches so that the tortoise, the predators, cannot reach them. Thank you for watching. Thanks.